iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Hey there, everybody. It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. Let's get to some news and notes before we get to the Tampa Bay Rays podcast preview. First of all, I want to talk about Blake Parker. Going to be the closer, it looks like, for the Los Angeles Angels. Blake Parker stinks. I need you to know that Blake Parker stinks. Here are his numbers in the spring. 8 2/3 innings, 19 hits, 14 runs. Really? That's your closer? The problem is Cam Bedrosian has 12 strikeouts to 4 walks in 7 innings. He's been great. The problem is that the Angels need Cam Bedrosian somewhere in the 7th and 8th inning like Andrew Miller. I don't know why you put bad guys as closers. Blake Parker's junk. I would never draft Blake Parker. Why? Because I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's that good, and I don't want to invest in a guy who I don't believe in. I only want to invest in guys I do believe in. And I don't believe in Parker. I believe in talent. Remember, in fantasy football this year, who had Alvin Kamara? Who had Christian McCaffrey? Who had Kareem Hunt? You had those guys, you probably won lots of money. But maybe you didn't have them, but Spencer Ware was there. Adrian Peterson was a saint. 5 weeks later, these guys were useless. Ware didn't even make the season, and Peterson was done. So you have to be forward-thinking. You must be forward-thinking if you want to win a fantasy championship. Cam Bedrosian is forward-thinking. Blake Parker is rear-thinking. How about a guy in Colorado named Ryan McMahon? He could be the first baseman, but right now it says Ian Desmond. But Charlie Blackmon may get traded. Carlos Gonzalez may get moved again. Gerardo Parra stinks. Maybe Desmond goes to the outfield and McMahon goes to first. Then he has more value. You can't always worry about where a guy begins. You need to worry about where he finishes. Fantasy football is a sprint. Fantasy baseball is a marathon. Okay? Fantasy football is a sprint. You go 0-4, you're probably losing your league. Fantasy baseball, 2 weeks into it, 0-4 is like 1 week. Literally, it's 1 week. It's not even a week. More games than that. So what happens is that I say this before and I'll say this again. I don't even check my standings for a month. I don't know. They don't crystallize yet. What if I get 8 home runs in the first week and 20 the second? Now I have 28. I went from last place to first place in 1 week. I need the numbers to crystallize over a 4 to 6 week period. Baseball changes. I want to be forward thinking with how I approach my team. Will I ever draft Blake Parker? I can't imagine that I would. Because I think he's going to hold the job for about 3 weeks. Until the Angels come to their senses and realize how good Cam Bedrosian is. See, I know that, and it takes time. So I'm at the Red Sox game, and I'm watching Hanley Ramirez bat third. This guy's bat speed is so slow right now, it's pathetic. Xander Bogaerts is locked in. This guy's hitting BBs all spring. Been to 3 games, this guy's hit BBs all 3 games. Alex Cora is going to get the memo. Alex Cora is the new Red Sox manager. At some point, he's going to see Hanley Ramirez sucks. And then Hanley Ramirez is going to bat lower in the order. And then he'll put Xander Bogaerts third like he should. Boom. Why does it need to take him 3 weeks when I can notice it in 1 second? Now, maybe he can notice it, but maybe there's extenuating circumstances. There's contracts. Hanley's a veteran. Blah, 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 blah. Talent wins out. It always does. You have to believe in talent. You have to believe in talent. I do. All right. Greg Bird, out 6 to 8 weeks with an ankle injury. Watch the Yankees use Neil Walker. I really like Neil Walker. Was a great signing. He is a very good hitter. I think Tyler Austin may get some at-bats against a left-handed pitcher. Neil Walker will get all the at-bats against a righty. All. And maybe a few against a lefty too. So I'm a big Neil Walker guy. Now the problem is they may have to go with Tyler Wade at second because they have to use Brandon Drury at third because the original plan was to use Neil Walker at second. They can't do that anymore. So they'll go Walker at first, Tyler Wade at second, Drury at third, Didi at short. That's the plan. Okay? So keep your eyes peeled there. Next, another injury. Steven John Philip Sousa going to be out probably until the middle of May. Look for Chris Owings to come in, and this gives Owings even more positional flexibility because this guy can play second, shortstop, third, outfield, whatever you need. But keep an eye on Jared Dyson as well. Jared Dyson's going to come in. He's going to come in the late innings, be a pinch runner and a defensive replacement because he's a good defensive player and Chris Owings isn't. All right, it's time now for the Tampa Bay Rays podcast preview. I want to start with Wilson Ramos. Wilson Ramos is a very good hitting catcher. And I think he's a guy that you could take as your first catcher in leagues. Very solid. Hit about 270, 280, 15 home runs, 60 RBIs. You know what you're getting. Solid as a rock. CJ Cron, first base. Now, many of you may or may not know CJ Cron, but let me fill you in. CJ Cron was a star prospect for the Los Angeles Angels. Then they realized he was only good hitting lefties. Couldn't really hit righties. So now they trade him to Tampa. That's like going to Siberia, except just warmer. And Cron is going to play every game against a lefty pitcher, for sure. That's about 350 at-bats. What I'd like to see him is get another 100 at-bats against a righty, or against righties. If he can get 450 to 500 at-bats, the guy could go 20-80 in the middle of this lineup. He's a good hitter. And Tampa has nobody else. So Brad Miller stinks, and Brad Miller's going to play second base. But maybe what's going to happen is against a righty, Brad Miller will play first, and maybe Daniel Robertson will come in. I don't know how they're going to do it. But that's what's going to happen. I don't like Brad Miller at all. I don't like Hechavarri at all. I don't like Matt Duffy at all. I do like Willy Adames, who's going to be the shortstop of the future, but the future's not yet in Tampa. But it probably should be. I don't know why there's baseball in Tampa. I don't know why there's baseball in Florida. There's spring training. People go to that. People don't go to the games during the year. I've been to Tampa Stadium. You know who's there? Nobody. My aunt and uncle are there. They're like 75 to 80 years old, and my aunt has dyes her hair blue for the Rays. Nobody goes. We could contract both those teams. We'd be better off. Seriously, the Rays stink. It's a matter of when are they going to just trade players. Now, I happen to like their outfield. I like Malik Smith. Outside of D. Gordon, he might be the fastest guy in the American League, and he might lead the American League in stolen bases. I like Kevin Kiermaier a lot. But Kevin Kiermaier is a very good defensive player who always makes a crazy play in the outfield and gets himself injured. But if he's healthy, he can go 20-20 easily. The problem is this. Most people don't like Kevin Kiermaier. Why? Because he plays for the pathetic Rays. Nobody wants a guy on a bad team. But good players still play on bad teams. Happens all the time. Ask Ernie Banks when he played for the Chicago Cubs when they sucked. He was a pretty good fantasy player in his own right. So Kevin Kiermaier, if he was a Yankee, he'd be a 7th or 8th round player. In Tampa, he's like an 18th round player. The player's still good. Where he plays is bad. So don't forget that. You can get value in a player like that. I think there's value with Kevin Kiermaier. I like Carlos Gomez as well. I think he's in the right spot to go 15-15 this year. There's nobody else in the outfield. I've seen Brandon Snyder play. He's terrible. Denard Span is the 4th guy, but they might need him to be the DH. But I think their DH will be just like a Miller or Duffy or Robertson, whoever. The Rays are so bad. It's terrible. I like this kid Jake Bowers, but he's not ready yet. But at some point, Adames and Bowers will come up because they'll play them. But right now, they won't. The starting pitching, well, I'll go to the bullpen first. Alex Colomé is a very good pitcher. But when the Rays are out of it, he may be traded. And if he gets traded, first of all, if you're in an AL-only league, he may end up in an NL team. I don't know if your league gives you stats for that, but you got to be careful. Secondly, if you are in a mixed league, what if Colomé gets traded, let's say, to the Chicago Cubs, and he's not the closer? What if he goes to the Dodgers and he's the setup man for Kenley Jansen? That's what the Rays do. They trade guys like that to teams like Chicago and the Dodgers who are going for championships, and maybe Colomé becomes a great setup man. So I don't really want to draft Colomé this year because I don't trust that he's going to be the closer all year, because I don't think it's possible he gets traded. I think it's probable that he gets traded. Probable. Their bullpen is just a bunch of guys. Jose Alvarado, Andrew Kittredge, Sergio Romo, remember him from the Giants, Matt Andriese. These guys are they're messes. I mean, so here's the plan. They're going to go to a 4-man rotation because Brent Honeywell is out for the year and has his Jose De Leon. So they're going to have Archer, Snell, Faria, and Eovaldi. And then on day 5, they're just going to go throw their bullpen in there. That's a mess. Now, I really like Chris Archer. So let me explain something to you. High stakes thinking. I don't really want Chris Archer if he stays in Tampa all year. I don't. He's going to win 10 games. He's going to have an ERA about 4. He's going to have a whip about 1.2. And he's going to be a mess in the AL East. But if I take him in round 4, it's because I think he's going to get traded at some point to the National League. Maybe the Cardinals. How good would Chris Archer be for the Cardinals? Oh my God, good. Oh my God, good. That's how good. So if I take Chris Archer, it's with the hope that he gets traded and ends up in a better spot. So I like it as a risk-reward move, which you need to be a high-stakes player. That's the move you need to do. I'm not saying you will lose your league if you don't take Chris Archer, but that's why I would take him, because I would take him in the hopes of him getting traded. Blake Snell. Blake Snell to me is Robbie Ray light. And let me tell you something. Robbie Ray was a mess, but then Robbie Ray figured it out. So let me get back to you here. Robbie Ray in 2016 through 174 innings had an ERA of 4.9 and a whip of 1.47, but he had 218 strikeouts. Blake Snell could do that. Except I think Blake Snell's ERA might be closer to 4.2 and whip like 1.3. But then in a year, Robbie Ray went to a 2.89 ERA and 1.15 and 218 strikeouts. So Blake Snell is close. He's really close. He can kill you. So you got to be very careful with him. I like Blake Snell, but there are some games you don't want to play him. Now, there are going to be some games that he literally goes 9 innings, 2 hits, 11 strikeouts. You're like, I love this guy. And then the next time it's 2 innings, 8 runs, 4 strikeouts. I hate you, you pig. That's the problem. So be very careful if you draft Snell. Jake Faria, I'm very worried about. And I'm telling you this straight up. Now, let me see if I can find these numbers for you. Because in the spring, one moment, please. Yeah, it was bad. 13 innings, 19 hits, 11 runs, 9 walks, 7 strikeouts. I watched him play against the Red Sox. The Red Sox batted around in the first inning. He could not get a lefty out, a left-handed batter. So here's the deal with Faria. He's going to be really good. I just don't think it's this year. Would I draft him in a keeper league? Yes. Would I draft him in a redraft league? No. People like him because he's a name. Oh, he's the Rays' young rookie pitcher. Yes, but you're not winning this year because of him. Boo. Do you get it? I want guys who can help me win this year. I'll worry about next year. The only way I'm taking Faria is in my dynasty league in a reserve round. I can't risk him this year. Now, I'm going to give you another guy, Nathan Eovaldi, who's sitting there as well for the Rays. He's looked pretty good, and I'll give you a stat for him in the spring. 16 innings, 14 strikeouts, 1 walk. That's pretty good, right? Yeah, Nathan Eovaldi. It's good. You trust him? Do you really trust him? Because I don't. I don't trust Nathan Eovaldi. So you have to be very careful whom you trust. Just because a guy looks good in the spring doesn't mean he's good in the summer. Nathan Eovaldi falls into that trap for me. Guy that I want no part of. Nothing more than a reserve guy pick, because I know that when he plays the Orioles in Camden Yards, he's letting up 4 home runs, 2 to Manny Machado and 2 to Adam Jones. And then I go, why did I get this guy again? He's a pig. Now, will I play Nathan Eovaldi? I might in DFS, but never on my seasonal team. 2 different things. Nathan Eovaldi might be good for a night, but he's not going to be good for a season. You want in your seasonal league? Avoid him. All right, here's what you also need to avoid. The original ScoutFantasy.com, because my stuff's not there anymore. You're being duped by CBS. You're being duped. Please don't be there. Adam Rona, Sean Childs, and I are at scoutfantasysports.com. That's where our info is. That's where you need to be. Don't be at the other site. We're not there. We're at scoutfantasysports.com. That's how you can find us. All right? And if you join now, it's still not too late. We'll get you a free gift if you sign up by March 31st. Please do that. It's worth every penny. All right, guys, this is Dr. Roto saying put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. We're back with so much more, the latest and greatest to help you win your fantasy baseball leagues. This is Dr. Roto saying be well, take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!